It's the BC3 Amigos. We're back for June.
Oh my God, June already.
I mean, can you believe it? I can't believe half a year's gone by. This is just crazy. 6 months, almost 6 months, and we're already halfway through the year, getting into the latter end of the year, and it's just so crazy. We've been traveling so much, and we obviously left. Our last event was at the DynamicsCon conference, and now we're sitting here home, back in our offices, and ready to talk Business Central, Service, and CRM. Talk about.
Yeah, I love to talk about that stuff.
We knew Rob was going to be super happy with this topic. Kim and I were sitting here. We can actually just both of us sit back, relax,
let Rob
talk, and we can just, when Rob says he's done, we'll just come back and wait, let me rub my eye. I was taking a nap here.
Exactly.
Come back. But before we begin, a couple of cool announcements. Obviously, we're getting through the year here. We're in June. Obviously, the summit agenda is out for our conferences in the fall. The summit agenda is out. The DynamicsCon virtual, I believe, call for proposals are out. So please, if you want to be on that conference, submit your sessions. And it's a virtual conference in the fall as well. Days of Knowledge Atlanta. That's a new conference that is coming to America from our friends, Dynamics for Partner over there. They're bringing a piece of their knowledge track to America. They do it overseas in Europe a lot, and it's more of that intermediate advanced educational sessions that basically are taught by senior people, MVPs, a lot of people you see around the conferences who speak a lot on the different subject matters, functional and technical. You have both. So please go to Directions for Partner, and basically you can see the Days of Knowledge Atlanta. It is in September, mid-month, I believe. September. I believe they might have some academy classes, but check the website to see what they might be having for like one-day academy classes too, for educational reasons. You will find your BC3 Amigos at the Days of Knowledge Atlanta. So we'll be sitting there talking about, we've got intercompany consolidation. We have inventory, I believe. And we've got some service, I think, as well, right? Projects and service, I think, as topic, or a combination thereof. So really, a lot of educational sessions to be had there. And the agenda hasn't been published, but the speakers are out there. Their pictures are there, and some of the sessions that they'll be speaking about are already there. So sign up. Small fee to go, but I think it's a great 2 days. Again, the summit is already out there. And the last conference, again, DynamicsCon Virtual is out there. And the last conference, of course, is more overseas, Directions EMEA, to be held in Vienna, Austria. That one's in November. If you're looking for a multi-day event stacked with probably 300 plus sessions, I think it is something of that magnitude. Totally educational, great networking. You can certainly go to Vienna, Austria, and have a good time learning about Business Central. And the different, certainly some power stuff, I'm sure, and other, and so the apps that are obviously included in Business Central. That's it for me. Yes.
There's a lot of one-day event almost every month, either virtual or in person. So lots of things you can look for to
yes, I forgot the one-day events. Doug one-day events are happening throughout the year. I believe there's probably another 6. I think there's like 5 of them to go. I think they're on the Doug website. The Summit Roadshow has a whole bunch every month except for the month of October. Check those out. They're in various cities throughout the United States. And I believe they're putting together the 2025 cities, and hopefully they'll be publishing them soon when they're done. But other than that, let's get back to service and CRM. Rob, where do you want to start?
So, I thought about which I want to talk about first. What do I think is the most important in CRM and the relationship management functionality? And I can't decide if I should talk about the interactions where you can track every, email, every phone call, or every to-do that you have with your customers or your contacts, actually, or if I want to talk about like campaigns and the segments and, how you can set up pricing, special pricing for that. People don't seem to understand that it's more than just the customer that's in the database. I've seen so many people that I go in and help them with, and they're like, yeah, gee, I wish I could send emails to these people. And I'm like, you can do that if you set up the contacts. And they're like, they also edit the customer all the time. The salesman takes over the customer and changes the address because that's where the salesman is. And then the invoice never gets paid. I mean, there's a lot of great functionality that people just kind of overlook. And, you can carry that into service, Steve. I always talk about setting up those customers on the fly, the people that have never done business with you. And I show how you can set up a profile questionnaire that, how do they find us? What kind of service did we provide? And that's all part of the relationship management. So it kind of ties back into service.
I love the biggest thing that I love when a long time ago, way back in the NAV days, the one thing that was so cool was the fact that I could make that questionnaire and enter a contact that I met at a trade show or maybe some conference I was at or whatnot. And I got the information and I asked them, like, say, the top 10 questions or whatever I needed to ask them. And then I did a mass mailing off of that to actually generate my campaign to say, hey, since I met you, I want to give you a 25% off of these 10 items, please just enter an order with a code, campaign. I saw you at the show, whatever code, and then track it and see how much money you made off of it. So you can figure out your return on investment for going to trade shows. I thought that was so interesting that when you combine the campaign with the revenue and the cost to do it, and you can track it dimensionally or not, or through the campaign code, you can figure out how much money you just made on a campaign. And I remember one of the conferences, and you were doing relationship management versus D365 sales, or now that it's called sales, CE, whatever you want to call it. And the big difference, I love you were doing some comparatives in one of your sessions, Rob, and I forgot it, we were all in the audience. And one of the things that I totally appreciated was the fact that this version is a super light version, and to the extent that you do not need a rocket scientist degree to maintain D365 sales. It's not complex, it's super simple, it's very turnkey. You pretty much can get it up and running in about a week, and you're fully functional in a real CRM space. You've got my to-dos, you've got this, you have that. And I love the fact that it's like, go plug it in, enter, set it all up, and you're off and running. I mean, that I love the most.
You don't have to worry about the integration either. I mean, it's already in there.
Very true.
One of the things I like about that profile is you can add things to that profile and let them go back and recalculate and pull the data kind of after the fact. So I think that's pretty awesome. The fact that, I want to track this, and you're 6 months in.
We had somebody who is getting, obviously, using a little bit of it, especially the contacts, and also, as you know, the logging, the interactive log between your Outlook and tracking all the emails that go in and out and back and forth. And one of the things I thought that was so cool was the fact that every email that got sent out was logged. Literally, you could see, here, I sent these emails to customer X. Here's all my emails. It's logged, if the contact was there. And it was so cool, the different contacts that got it. But what was even cooler was that with the added notion, especially good old base BC, I open up Outlook and I've got my Outlook BC integration turned on, and there it is. There's BC literally sitting here in like a fact box almost on the side of my email that says, oh, I know that guy, blah, 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 blah. And there it is. Or, hey, Sally wrote to me, or Sam wrote to me. And it's like sitting right there, all within inside of my little mini CRM system in Business Central. So it was super cool.
Steve, I remember back in the old days, I used to convert folks that were on the old ACT contact management system.
Oh my God.
And one of the things people used to like to be able to do was they would do this, and God, this is so old school, but the mail merge, where you used to have to build the mail merge for the people that you were sending the emails to. Whereas now when you want to do that, and by the way, I don't know if anybody knows this, and I've done this for a lot of different things, like your customers need to know your new billing address where you've sent maybe a new lockbox. I've created a segment where anybody that has an open balance, you don't have to do the mail merge anymore. You just attach the email address, the Word document that says, hey, our new mailing address is here. And you can just, if you send the email through the segment, it's already logged. And then you have that email information.
Wow.
So people don't realize how much good stuff's in relationship management in BC.
But I'm going to add to that. I think a lot of users don't know how much good stuff is in BC in general.
That's a very good point.
That's a very good point. I mean, there's just way too much. I mean, there's so many new features coming out day in and day out, and there's so much to talk about. We can sit here for like weeks on end, literally going into areas that nobody has ever thought about. I mean, I was literally sitting here debugging a problem, and you'll appreciate this. I know I'm veering off the conversation just for 30 seconds, but I'm sitting here debugging a problem, and I'm staring at it, and they won't create a pick in the warehouse to go get the items to ship out the door. And I'm staring at it, and I'm saying, okay, this is done. I'm looking at the location. They got a bin. Looks great. Everything looks great. You want to know what happened? So on the location card, you can set up your default bin. So they had a shipment bin called WH. So that's the shipment bin called WH. All the inventory was already in WH.
You don't need to pick it.
It's like this all day long. So I'm sitting there staring at it. I'm like, what's wrong with this picture? And I'm sitting there expecting like a shipping bin, like ship or SH or something like that. And so I went and looked at it, and like, it was like, it hit me a square across. It took me like 30 minutes to find it because I'm sitting there dumbfounded. And of course, we fixed it all and life goes on. But there's so much in there.
So I had a client call up and said, I just love this new AR profile feature. And I'm like, so I look it up. It's like, what are you talking about? The AR profile. I just love it. It has all this stuff that I can get to. So finally got on the phone and I was like, okay, tell me what are you doing when you say AR profile? Well, there's in 24, there's an accounts receivable administrator role center. And it is great for an AR person. So she was following the Microsoft YouTube video on how to set up bulk emailing reminders. Now, she's been doing reminders for several years, and she's following along, and it kicks off and goes to email all of the reminders that she has in, that outbox queue, which are 3 years worth.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my.
And so I said, she said, well, they're all gone out of there. I said, that means they're in your email. See if your IT can flush them out of your email. Well, her IT department couldn't. So it sent 700 emails to customers.
Oh.
You had to go through and send an email to every customer saying, I'm so sorry. And I was like, yeah, that's a problem, right? One of the things that I think we all have to think about on new features is, what are the gotchas, right? We show it because this is how it's supposed to work perfectly, but yeah, clients aren't ever set up just perfectly, right, Steve?
Oh my
as in your WH. So anyway, we veered off the topic, but I just had to say there are so many new features, but you have to approach them with a little bit of caution and learn. And I'm just like, this is why you do things in Sandbox, right?
I mean, going back to CRM, I mean, you think about, I mean, it's been around for a while. Remember, it started out with relationship management in the early days, and then it grew into the word like marketing or hybrid marketing, I call it, and it's still there today. I mean, it literally looks and smells the same. I mean, it's got maybe some small new features, but mostly for the interactivity between the Office products and BC. But think about it. I mean, anybody who owns BC today could literally, if they had a sales department and hate large-scale CRM systems, can basically just turn this on, get all the contacts working, and keep it simple. And it's like, boom, 1, 2, 3, done. And I mean, it's like, I love turning it on for somebody. It's like, especially, small companies that want to do it for the first time, even medium-sized companies that want to do it, even large ones who want to do it. It's all there for you. And you just, you load your contacts, you load this, you load that, boom, you're off and running. And it's probably one of the more simpler functionalities to learn in a very short period of time. I mean, like I said, a couple of days and you'll be up and running.
I always tell somebody that's looking at, one of the larger CRMs is like, have you tried what you have in Business Central? You already have it. Why don't you try using it where you can spend a little bit of time you're going to learn a lot about how a CRM works. And I'm not telling you not to go to the big CRM, but I'm telling you, you might find that you already have enough of what you need. And if not, I think you'll find out maybe better ideas of how you want to set up your larger CRM, right? So I think it's a win-win if you can get them to even give it a go. I'm sorry, Rob, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. But, I've got two things here. So the first is that when I've asked people, so what do you need? And I've done a session where I've said, okay, let's assume that we've been told we need to find a CRM package. Let's put on the board what, and I do this blankly. I don't know what they're going to ask for. And, we go through the list of what does it have to have and what do you want? And, there's one thing that it doesn't have, and I don't think it's that big a deal for a smaller company. It doesn't have that. How many success rates is that email? When you send out the email and you send out the 700, how many people opened it? It doesn't have that. But do you really need that if you're following up? That's the great thing about the functionality inside of it. And so if you can just set it up, here's the other thing. It's also got the ability, and this is one of those rare known, people don't even dig into some of the functionality, like they go into fixed assets and they don't realize you can do budgets. I know, Steve, fixed asset budgeting is a big thing with you, but not many people dig that deep into it. But here's the other thing it can do. Going back to those profiles, you can set up profile questionnaires that let the system will rank. Who are your top customers? Who are your highest margin profit customers? And then the other thing, I just had somebody ask me that, how much discount am I giving to customers? You can set these questions up, and then there's an automatic update. It's called a classification in the profile, and it will run through and it will update. And the one thing I like to do is, set up a couple of examples with it, and then just do a quick change of a sales order, or post a new sales order and show how it has updated the customers. And it can be done every day.
That's pretty amazing when you think about it. It's like instantaneous from the sales team and the marketing team, having both sales information to do, trying to find new leads and new whatnot, and tracking them all like in a typical CRM system. And the marketing team now has a mass mailing system to do campaigns and whatnot to generate more business. So, and right inside the Business Central product. So,
and a manager can see the status of all the leads and,
that's pretty
potential close and things like that.
There is a role center for the sales relationship manager, so he can be managing all that stuff for them.
So now let's talk about service. Let's talk about, we've got, let's talk for about 20 minutes or so on service, because I think service is a bigger chunk, obviously, of the system, because it requires the premium license, obviously, to run you need that from a Business Central standpoint. But the functionality that has been improved upon these last couple of waves, and still, I'm sure there's more coming in future waves, but that service system is probably something, for those who don't really look hard enough, you'd be inside my software, inside my Business Central SaaS on-prem system, I've got this beautiful service management tool that not only could I service my own products, I can service other products. I can create, I can do field service, okay, with an app, obviously in the Business Central product, okay. I can do warranties and contracts and preventative maintenance agreements. There's so much in that freaking system. It's huge. I mean, and think of all the people who sell stuff today that do service, but they didn't realize maybe BC didn't have service, or for those obviously in the field service industry who've been using other products out there like Sage or NetSuite or whomever they're using, that literally they can just go into Business Central, have a much more robust, feature-rich system, and include the field service. And on top of that, let's do the rental side, because you're a service industry business. You probably have rentals. I mean, it's pretty amazing, in my opinion.
Well, Steve, you mentioned the service contracts, and the great thing about that is you can evaluate, you set up the prices this year, and are you making money on that, and looking at those service contracts, and do prices need to increase next year? I just know too many companies that give away service not realizing that there is a real value to that, to the cost. They think it's just an add-on and a convenience for the customer, but that's a real profit center if you run it right.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah, Rob, have you seen, or Kim, have you seen like people? I mean, obviously the reporting out of the system, the contract reporting there must be a way to compare the contract And then obviously all the tickets that are going in and showing you profitability against contract. I mean, those are things you've probably come across, both of you have come across for reporting reasons, right?
Oh, the statistics is great. I mean, again, you can
Absolutely.
see everything that's out there, what you've billed, what you've used on it, and then you can also evaluate, the coming invoices that are coming out there. There's two different types of service orders in the system. If you look at it globally, there's the regular service order that you set up, and then the system will generate those service contracts for you based on the frequency that you set that up. So you can see ahead of time what the schedules are and know whether or not you need to add. One of the things we used to do in my prior life was we would add technicians during busy time of year because we could see the projections out there. So, I mean, there's some great functionality out there that people aren't looking at.
It's also, the cycle billing, right? I know people who use it, in our line of work where they're billing Business Central on a monthly basis, right? Or maybe they work something out with customers to bill them quarterly for a block of service time. So, I mean, just built in. A lot of people, I think, try to use some other features in the system, but it's a little bit more manual than using the piece of service management.
I've never tried that, but that makes a lot of sense doing it like that.
It does work. I want to touch on something. You mentioned statistics. I think that's a underutilized feature throughout Business Central is looking at statistics. It used to be like F7 or F9 or some.
No, it's F9 before. Now it's F7.
Okay, there you go. And a single keystroke and the information that you get about an order, a customer, a service item, a service contract, production order. I just think of all these as so much information there. And I think it's one of those things that just kind of gets overlooked in implementation because people are trying to learn how to get things in and out and don't really look at some of those. So just an FYI for anybody listening, check out your statistics. It's everywhere.
Well, I think that there's so much in there, Kim, that they forget. I always like to tell them hit F7 before you hit post, and they're like, "Well, what's that going to do?" I'll tell you what you're going to get. But
I like that idea.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool for the people who use the sales tax apps. A lot of times when we're training them, we tell them to do that because even though it's sitting on the screen, how much sales tax you're going to collect, some people say, well, can I get the breakdown? Obviously, the statistics has the breakdown by the different localities, and jurisdictions and stuff to show you what you're about to pay and where and how much. So it is pretty cool because there's so much information on a statistics from a sales order, the purchase order, production order, service order, project job card. I mean, there's so much out there, and it's like you just don't really go there, probably because the first thing you do is you're not going to hit statistics. You probably, let me drill here, go there, do this, do that, and you just wasted 3-4 minutes of your time when all you had to do is say statistics, and it gives you a summary of the document.
But you mentioned, and you can only see the sales tax breakdown there. The other thing that they added a few years back was original cost and adjusted cost. So that, when especially a sales side, it gets a cost that it was at the time you took the sale. Well, if you did that sale 2 months ago, and you've been waiting on stuff to come in and now you get it, well, your cost when that ends up getting done could be different. And I love the fact that you see kind of the before and the now. But yeah, so I didn't want to take the whole time to talk about statistics, but I do think it's a very valid point. And I love the fact that you talked about it for contracts. It's really hard, in my opinion, on service. I mean, to think about the fact that service can really help somebody troubleshoot a customer call. My printer's not printing, right? Is it plugged in? Does it have paper? Is it online? But you can build all those steps in. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all called, the plumber, the Maytag repairman. We've all done it. Every one of us has in our lifetime. So it's funny. You always wonder, and they're sitting on the other end of that phone asking, the microwave was broken. And that I can just see them swapping, like turning pages, looking for the next question in that list of what do I ask next? What do I ask next? And I realized that one of the cool things in service, I think Rob probably touched upon it, is that you can set up, the faults. So why did it happen? The symptom, why did it happen? How did I resolve it? Or what did I have to do to solve the problem?
Yeah.
And if I solve the problem, am I sending a tech or not a tech? And does it need parts and whatnot? But, think about it. You've got this huge built-in knowledge base so that when your customer calls you up and says, my blah, blah, blah is broken, my microwave is broken, then it literally, okay, what was the problem? Oh, did you do this to the thing? No, not that. Maybe there's another, pathway of, false symptoms and resolutions. But it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's like, and it's inside of the software. It's like, not only will your service center have it, the technician out in the street has the same information. So it's inside of one Business Central system for the service management team. So.
Well, Steve, if the call taker can solve that problem without a technician going there, remember that customer is probably irate that the system went down to begin with, and now you've helped them fix it before they had to wait for a technician to get out there. That might be a day or two down the road. So that can be a very big customer service plug for the company.
Absolutely. And, just building on that, the fact that if you do have to send somebody out, and it's an electrical problem, it'd probably be good to send somebody with skills in, the electrical side of things, right? Not the plumber.
And hey, Rob, I know that I know Business Central Service kind of takes it, and I think, Kim, you've seen this as well. But one of the new things I've been seeing lately, and I love talking about this because it's like kind of cute. The whole notion of, if you're in the service business, and when you really think about it, people are going to either send you an email or they're going to pick up the phone. But what if they can go to a service portal and I type in what the problem is, call up their account, pick the item they're about to service and say, here's my problem. And it responds back to you with potential, did you do this? Did you do this? Oh, no. Okay, let me submit ticket for technician to get back to you. I'm like, freaked me out when I saw one the other day. It was the coolest little thing. To solve my problem, to ask for a technician. I was like, that's amazing. And I know it's a request that's come up a couple of times from some of our customers, all of ours, where they basically asking for this portal tool because it cuts down on that email phone call, and it's like instantaneous gratification, kind of like you said.
Yeah, and the customers are getting more savvy technology wise too, so they know about those portals. If you can put them out there and click in and, like you said, get an instant solution.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of the younger generation, that's the first thing they want to do, right? Us. Yes, us. We want to go online. We don't necessarily want to. I don't want to talk to somebody who knows less than I do, right? Which, if it's about how to hook my TV up to get streaming service, at the baseball field for my grandson, I can't figure that out. But, and my daughter comes in and goes, it's done, But my point is that I think a lot of people will go and try to resolve things first, right? And then, if they need help, they reach out. So it can be a big win to provide that service to your customers.
Of course, that's a double-edged sword, because sometimes our customers go out there and try and fix their problem on their own, and then they wind up spending more time with us later on.
True. And one of the nice things I think in service is, in addition to setting up that great contract, whether it be preventative or warranty, whatever you want to call it, in addition to kind of setting up, our parts free is labor free, you can do mileage. Obviously, if you're doing like a trip charge, you can set that up. I think one of the cool things is, as you're doing the service order, these are things that you can like toggle on and toggle off, whether you want to do something warranty or not. And I think, all three of us have been around that a lot, because obviously somebody can change their mind when they find out maybe they're on the road. The field service technician looks at something and says, this is definitely, you guys broke this and like not under warranty. We're going to charge you for the part or something, or the labor and whatnot. But one of the nice things is, I think we saw this a few years back when we saw some service demonstrations from, whether it be Microsoft or somebody, the whole notion that you can actually keep documents in there. So let's say you're repairing the Maytag repair, the washer and dryer, and maybe you need a technician book in there, and the technicians in the field need the book, and there's ways of keeping documents in there that they can pull up, or get a signature from the customer or wherever they were at that says I finished my job, and go through what a QC checklist and store it and check off for the thing like I did my job, and here, sign off on this, and so you can either get paid or say that you did my preventative maintenance. But all these new tools that are out there, I mean, what have you guys seen? I mean, in terms of, what are some of the new, add-ons, or at least some of the new features that are coming out?
Well, I'm looking forward to making the credits a lot easier, because right now you have to do that, set up the service order or the service credit memo and put it back in again the way you put it in. Now you can apply it, which is a big step up. You used to not be able to apply it to the service item, so it was just a credit on the customer's account, but all that expense was out there still on the original service item. So now you can at least apply it there. That's a good step. But we still need to I'm going to tell you, we still need to get that copy doc where we can do the correction like we do on the sales order or the posted sales invoice. That is going to be such a huge time saver, because if you've got a huge invoice out there that you need to correct, or maybe here's a big thing that I remember from back in the day. So my old company, we used to sell service contracts. It was a third-party service contract. And sometimes somebody would fail to update that this was under a service contract, and we would wind up billing the customer. And, of course, the customer would get upset. And it would take forever to get that thing corrected, because you'd have to manually put it all back in again. So being able to correct that and then change the bill to customer with a new invoice would be phenomenal. Hey, is anybody at Microsoft listening?
Yeah, really. Microsoft, listen. Hey, Rob, you don't have on a posted service invoice the correct cancel, corrective credit. That's what we really, I think we should have copy document, yes. But I also think let's make this work like, our sales invoice, the rest of the stuff, and add those 3 features. I bet you told a Microsoft person that at least once, right?
I might have. But, the other thing I've told them, and, they have their own, I'm going to say this for them, they have their own agenda, and I guess here's the thing I don't do that everybody should take advantage of. You can go out, click into your BC system and make a recommendation and start, requesting votes for that. But one of the big things that we are missing in service, and I keep trying to tell, hello, Microsoft, one more time, drop ship and special orders from the service order. I can't tell you how many customers out there, and by the way, Steve and I have done this modification for them, but it's very easy to do, where you can put in a special order on the service line and then go ahead and create a purchase order linked to that service order. And here's the big reason why you need that. You need to be able to tie that purchase order on receipt. So when the guy in the warehouse sees that this came in, hey, I can now assign this to this guy's truck and it's going out the next day to be repaired. Otherwise, he's going through all kinds of stuff to try and tie that down.
I think that's a must. It better be there.
Hey, you ought to get with a developer that can submit code and see if Microsoft will just pick it up.
Oh, that's true. We probably could do that if we have the code.
We have the code.
If we put it into the that area that they're keeping the common, the general, the open code.
Yeah.
The GitHub. I think it's like a GitHub
thing, right?
People can put code that would be reviewed by Microsoft to see if we put into the permanent product. Maybe that's something we do.
That might be a way to get it fast sooner rather than later, Rob.
Ooh, that might be an idea. So what do you think of
on the to-do list
when it relates to field service, what in it, we know that they've improved the warehousing piece, they've improved a lot of some features are missing, but they're going to improve those into the future. I think it's a great thing. It's got a great contract system. It's got a good service order preventative maintenance system. The dispatch board is really nice where you can dispatch people. The field service comes obviously with one of the apps and it makes life so much easier. But what about, have you seen a lot of the service people use rentals? I mean, how many, between all 3 of us, how many times have you seen the combination where rental is becoming more and more popular for those people in that service industry? Have you seen a lot of that?
Definitely. And Steve, they do have right now that loaner that's on there, but I wish they would make that, a billable event. That would be phenomenal.
Oh, wow. If you made that a billable event, it's almost like you're renting something. It's like a mini rental, and you can literally just use your loaner at a mini rental system, and then kind of and then build up your loaner system to do rentals. And obviously you have to figure out rental pricing, but that would be pretty cool. I mean, if you actually had the ability to take the little mini concept of loaner and just bill it, or come up with some other tool set that belongs with it. Wow.
Maybe Power Automate could if you put a loaner out there and you did a Power Automate where you could put a charge on the service line, maybe. Hey, we need to get to work.
Yeah, we need more to do.
There's always so much we could do if we just had time.
It'd be funny. I mean, if you really took the time to sit and go really, really slow through Business Central, think about how many little things you'd come across and want to do, and you're like, your sticky notes would be like, a wall full of sticky notes, and I'm going to do this. Oh no, let's do that. And no, let's do this. Let's do that. I mean, like, it goes on and on and on. Do you see, I mean, this always comes up because it's a word that is on everybody's tongue, the word AI. Do you really see AI touching into the service or CRM area? And I'm not talking about an item description or anything. Do you see AI ever crossing into some of what the relationship management marketing system does, or the service module?
How about scheduling? Copilot, help me schedule who's got availability and who's got the skills I need.
I could see that whole troubleshooting piece maybe being enhanced with Copilot, right? This is the issue. So I don't have to go look up the code for it.
And then it just goes out and finds the answer through business.
Yeah.
Or how did I solve this the last time?
Oh, that's true. Find the last time it happened. Hey, Microsoft, you're hearing this, right? I want you guys to listen to this. We've got all these ideas. But seriously, where do you see it going? Like, where do you think the future lies for CRM, or for the marketing, relationship management, and service? Service can grow, and there's things you can do to it, like you said, Rob, the copy document, correct,
rental,
and some other small things. Maybe do they go into that loaner rental world? But what else do you see that they could possibly do over the next couple of years?
Well, we can already use Outlook to generate quotes. So maybe there's, with the Teams license, we're able to do more from Teams with BC. Log into your Teams, and as long as you've got a BC license, maybe you generate the quote from right there without ever signing in. So
that's pretty cool. That would be nice. That would be pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think if we could see some Copilot things with CRM. I haven't tried any. I know there's a lot of Copilot you can do now to learn how to do things. But what if it was more, I type something into Copilot and it helps me generate segments, or generate, campaign pricing, or, just something like that.
That would actually be really cool, Kim. I mean, think about it. Hi, Copilot. I want you to take the top 50 worst selling items that I have on inventory, and please make a campaign for all of them, giving a blowout price of 80% off. Go.
Wow. Can you imagine?
Well, how fat?
Build the segments, build the pricing.
Well, so you're going back to not just what isn't selling, but hey, if I have warranties out there, what do I need to renew this year? Hey, Copilot, go tell me, give me all my clients who purchased this stuff a year ago, and it's down 11 months.
It's like, Microsoft, are you listening? Because we have lots of good ideas. Hey, Rob, I have to tell you something though. Will you please put MVP next time you sign in? We know you're an MVP, and it just looks sad because it doesn't say MVP on your last name, and that upsets me because you're an MVP.
Yeah.
I noticed it earlier after I did that, and I was like, I'm so used to just signing in the old way, so I'll do that. Thank you for the reminder.
It's,
productive, sessions. I think that I hope that we can send a copy of this to somebody. Microsoft.
That's a great idea. We should do that.
Oh yeah, after we publish it, I think
Let's copy a few people. Yeah. Be awesome.
Let's copy a few people who are responsible for service. The two gentlemen we know, I think, that are responsible for the service area. Let's let them watch this, and maybe they can take that and the marketing relationship management and kind of take it to the next level. So let's see what they say. Maybe we'll connect with them later on. Maybe they look at it. They're so excited. They're wetting their whistle. They're going crazy, right? And they're like, they want to be a guest on the BC3.
Well, that would be awesome.
Tell them we're happy to have them.
So maybe that's what we think about.
For sure.
But there's so much to do. And I mean, we can go on and on and on for another hour and kind of different things. I think what's really cool is the fact that the dispatching, and you're right, Rob, a lot of that the dispatching and the ability to really dispatch based on the skill sets of a technician, the availability of a technician, what am I repairing, what am I fixing and whatnot. I mean, all of that, out of the box, plus, what if somebody calls in sick and you have to reshuffle the deck? Well, all those tools that are out there now to kind of help you do that, on a moment's notice, to kind of reshuffle the deck and stuff like that. Plus, keep track of items in their vans. I mean, all the inventory that's in their vans they keep track of to know what's assigned to a service ticket or not, or just have extra inventory. I mean, the fact that they, all of that is just amazing. The fact that it is a fully functional.
One of the things I see a little too often is people going and grabbing an add-on before they really know if there's something they can do inside BC. And I'm not just talking service and CRM, but those are big areas, right? Oh, I need, field service. And they've really never even looked at what I can do with service management. Oh, I need a CRM product. Let me go spend lots and lots of dollars versus what can I do? And Rob, your example of your session where you say, what do you need out of a CRM? I think that's super important. Same thing with service. If we can just get people, because we promote the add-ons a lot, right? Because they're great tools out there. But I think it's always good to look at what we can do in the product. I had something recently where somebody loaded something from a bank because the bank said it's integrated to BC. I don't think and what I found out, what they want to do is they want to do ACH payments. It's like, you don't need to add on. You don't need to pay for anything. You don't need to link your bank accounts. We're just going to do the setup, create the file. You have to do one thing. You have to upload it to the bank, right? Well, we have to do every vendor right now. You mean I'm going to upload one file? Yes. And we can get it all done in, if you get your data set up, it'll all be done in half a day. And they're like, what?
Yeah, it's so amazing. I mean, I don't know how anybody can keep up with the fact that emails keep coming, 4,400, 4,300, whatever it is, the number of apps that are out there, obviously duplicates of duplicates of duplicates. Don't get me wrong here. But the fact that there's so many, and then, you get an email or a phone call saying, I loaded this thing and XYZ happened or not. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to break things, but there's so many of them out there that do so many great things in certain functional areas of Business Central. And then there are ones you have never heard about. And you're like, you do know that that's inside of BC, right? Like, you can just do it and it's right there in front of you. You don't need an app for that anymore. But it is the banking one's funny.
It's hard. You said it though. It's hard to keep up. It's hard for us to keep up, and we're in there and we're talking to like this all the time. Put yourself in the user's shoes, right? They're once removed from that, right? If they're not on the calls and they're not talking to others that work deep in it all the time or are constantly checking what's coming. It's hard.
It's super hard.
It's hard for users to know what's there. I try when I do a support call to say, hey, don't know if you knew, but this is coming out or this came out last time. I know you're trying to do some, efficiencies in your organization. Do you know about deferrals? That came out years ago. 9 times out of 10, it's like, what? No, they don't know. How were they supposed to know? Right?
Well, but that's a age-old story, though, because back in the day before apps, people would just do a modification going, hey, can you do this for me? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it's so funny.
Yeah, you're right.
We have a customer that basically is on NAV 2015. And obviously, it's super old. We know that part. It's super old, and the software is night and day. There's really there are two ends of a spectrum that you can't even compare anymore. And the technology has like leaps. It's not even in the same planet, solar system anymore. But the funny thing is that you look at everything that the software out of the box can do, add an app here and there depending upon what you do for a living, and it's all those customizations get swept under the rug because you don't need them anymore because there's an app for that, and it makes life easier. And now you can upgrade. You don't have to hang out and be in an older version anymore for such a long time because you're always up to date. But going back to the conversation, of service, if you think about it, there are so many people out there who probably are in the service business. Maybe they're in NAV still that are using service, but really never got around to doing field service or never got around to doing rentals because they never really thought to look to see if it's even in there. What if you had a parts department? Think of like when you go into I'm trying to think of, you go into the washer and dryer guy, the appliance company, they've got a parts department, kind of like the repairing your car parts department. You can buy parts, rent, or maybe you need to go into a parts department and rent something for a while. And think of all the functionality that BC can do, literally, for that one business who spans all those areas between the contracts and the service, between single service orders that Rob said, or the preventative maintenance ones you brought up, Kim, and then basically now I need to get a part, or maybe I want to do a rental. It's all there, and they're all interconnected inside of one system today. So, inclusive of having a counter sale. You want to do a counter sale with a cash register, guess what? You can do that in BC. It is available to you. There's an app that does counter sales, and it's just a very simple app that makes life easier. You can also use sales orders if you don't want to do more of that cash drawer, little receipts, little slip. You can just use the basic software. But, there's just so much out there today that it just blows my mind that, it keeps growing and growing and growing. So,
you mentioned the parts departments, and so many companies out there have to maintain a large inventory for whatever they are planning to service or whatever they have under contract. But at some point, you have to evaluate your inventory for how old am I going to keep this stuff? And at what point do I tell the customer, I tell you what, I've had this experience. They go, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have that part anymore. You're going to have to buy a new one. And maybe, they need to get a little tighter on their inventory and evaluate. And that's what BC can do for them. Evaluate what is obsolete and when was the last time you used something like that. So, yeah, there's also
that interconnection that Steve just talked about, right? It's and it hurts my heart when somebody says, well, we keep inventory over here in this system. We do POs over here in this system. But yet I want an accrual, right? It's like, and you don't get any, you don't get that interconnection as easily. Let's put it that way, as easily. It's really amazing to see how much Business Central has grown. You talk about from 2015. Let's talk about version 15 to now, right? And version 15 is 9 day from now 15. So I will say that Microsoft has listened a lot to what people have asked for through the BC ideas and et cetera. And I really think that's amazing. I'd like to have everything on my wish list done, but they have done a lot, and they continue to do a lot. Twice a year. It's pretty amazing how much they are cranking out for us.
Hey, Steve, if you're going to send this to Microsoft, I want to put one more request for Copilot in. So in service, we have zones. And in some of these cities where we have multiple large areas where the technicians service certain areas because that's their home, how cool would it be if I could say, hey, Copilot, I need you to set the schedule for the zones tomorrow based on the zones. I could then get like 8 jobs for this zone and 8 for another job and 8 for so on. So if we could do some kind of limiting with Copilot to do that, that would be another phenomenal purpose for Copilot.
Can you imagine going through all the open service tickets, right? Looking at what you're doing in your zone, in your service area, having Copilot set up the dispatch board for those technicians, each one, and also evaluating to make sure that they're qualified to do that service ticket. So you might want to add a layer there, but AI takes care of you. Yep. Already set, come in the morning, 8:00, you look at here's what I'm doing today. Bye. And I probably won't even come in. I can just grab my van that's probably in my driveway, open up my app or my tablet or whatever, see what I'm doing today. And I'm off and running, going uptown, downtown, or we're in the suburbs.
Save the time for going in the office to get
because the only time you might want to go in might be to get a couple of parts from the warehouse and then just leave and get on the road if you need them. But now you just had AI take care of my the manager of the department AI just took care of it, set it all up. Maybe the manager might tweak it here and there, but think about it. Can you imagine saving all those hours that probably that service manager has to sit there and go, nope, can't, they're basically...
The summit schedule together.
They got the Ouija board. They're going around here, kind of moving all the pieces around here. The abacus is moving it in left and right and up and down. So, you just created you made somebody's life so much more productive in 2 seconds. Well, gang, we are sitting here. Wow. We're basically, I think I know we've talked for about 45 minutes or so. And what other things we want to talk about, if anything at all, on service and CRM? Anything else off the top of your heads? Kim, we'll go to you first.
Okay, thanks, Nathan. We covered a lot.
Rob, any more wishes and wants from you? Any last minute, Hail Marys?
No, you know what? If they want to know more, they can come to Days of Knowledge.
Days of Knowledge. That's a good hint. Okay, gang, that's it for our June episode. I mean, again, we'll get this up on social media really fast. Hopefully, I will pass this along to Microsoft. We'll send it through some of the backdoor channels, and hopefully they'll watch it. And maybe we might get hey, how would you like to, be one of our guests? And I think next month is July, and it is one of our months that we're going to be looking for a guest. So look out for who might be coming, when we publish this. And so we'll have an exciting guest next month in our community, somebody that we can kind of talk to and speak to about what's going on and what's new in the world of Business Central that you probably should know about, especially some of the new stuff coming out in the upcoming waves. Maybe we'll try to find a cool speaker on a hot topic that's been out there for about a couple of weeks now. Other than that, we hope to see you at a road show. We definitely have a lot of road shows coming up. I think they've got Chicago coming up, and there's a Seattle one coming up, and I think Atlanta and a whole bunch of other cities around there. There's also Doug's got a couple coming up in, I think, Tampa and some other places. So please check the websites, either the Summit Roadshow website or go to Doug's website has all their upcoming day events. So please check them all out. We'll see you there. Some of the fall conferences as well. Other than that, I think the BC3 Amigos are going to go have some cervezas because it's time. And we welcome Rob back from his beautiful vacation that he went. And where did you go again, Rob?
I went to the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. We spent some time on Mackinac Island and then went to the Talcahuano Falls. Pretty impressive area up there, but not much internet.
That's a good place to go for a vacation, though. Get away from that internet for a bit.
The internet.
It was cooler than it is down here in Texas.
Yeah, it's summertime here. Don't let them tell you that hasn't gotten there yet. It's summertime is here.
We had a 40-degree difference up there.
That's not even funny. Oh, God. All right,
we should have summer homes up there, winter homes down here.
Yeah.
All right, my amigos.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.